Before we begin, I want to remind current and potential investors that we will be making various remarks about future expectations, plans, and prospects that are considered forward-looking statements. There are risks that actual results may differ from these statements. We refer you to the Safe Harbor statement at the end of this presentation, or to the forward-looking and risk factors sections of our public filings, which can be found on our website under Investor Filings, EDGAR, and SEDAR+. The statements are made as of today, October 24th, 2025, and reflect our expectations as of today. Thank you for joining us for Zomedica's Investor Webinar Series. We're excited to have you with us as we take a closer look at our company, our innovative product platforms, and the passionate people driving our success. This series is designed to give you a deeper understanding of how we're delivering value to veterinarians and to our shareholders. At Zomedica, our mission is to deliver innovative diagnostic and therapeutic technologies that empower veterinarians to focus on what they love most, enhancing pet care and improving pet parent satisfaction. Equally important, we help vets with what they need most, streamlining workflow, increasing cash flow, and boosting practice profitability. We're focused on two of the fastest-growing segments in animal health, therapeutic devices and diagnostics, and have built a total addressable market of $2.7 billion in annual recurring revenue. We've launched 6 product platforms, each purpose-built to drive better outcomes, improve workflows, and enhance practice profitability. Our performance backs it up. Since the acquisition of PulseVet and Assisi, therapeutic device revenue was up 25%, diagnostics revenue is up 77% in fiscal year 2024, and we've maintained strong gross margins around 70%. This isn't just growth, it's momentum. Now let's hear from Larry Heaton, Zomedica's Chief Executive Officer.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Larry Heaton, Chief Executive Officer of Zomedica. Thank you for joining our Fourth Friday at 4 webinar series. Whether you're a pet parent, shareholder, veterinary professional, or simply someone who loves animals as we do, we appreciate you spending this time with us, learning about innovations that are reshaping veterinary care. On our last webinar, we discussed the TruView digital microscope, a breakthrough solution that is enhancing the way clinics perform in-house cytology and diagnostics. Today, we're turning our attention to another major advance from the Zomedica portfolio, the VETGuardian no-touch monitor. The VETGuardian zero-touch monitor is the first and only zero-touch vital signs monitoring system for companion animals. It continuously tracks heart rate, respiratory rate, and temperature, the vital signs, without wires, probes, or physical restraints. That means less stress for the animals, greater safety for the staff, and more confidence in the care being delivered. Clinics rely on the VETGuardian monitor across 4 critical areas of care where the pet is at their most vulnerable: pre and post surgical monitoring, intensive care units where the pet is fighting to recover, isolation wards where they're all alone, and overnight where they're there in the clinic in the dark. In each of these cases, the VETGuardian system provides uninterrupted, real-time data that helps teams respond quickly and ensures patients receive the highest standard of care possible. For practices, that translates into stronger outcomes, improved efficiency, and peace of mind. For Zomedica, it represents the foundation of our monitoring platform and reflects the value of contactless technology in veterinary medicine. I want to personally thank you for your time, your continued commitment to Zomedica, and your shared belief in our mission to deliver solutions that matter most to veterinary professionals. So with that, let's get started.
At Zomedica, our mission is guided by what we call our 5 pillars. These are core objectives that shape every decision we make about products and innovation. First and foremost, we aim to improve the quality of care for the pets. Equally important is enhancing the satisfaction of the pet parent, ensuring they feel confident and comfortable with the care provided. Our solutions also focus heavily on improving the veterinarian's daily workflow. helping veterinary practices operate smoothly and efficiently. Additionally, we are committed to positively impacting veterinarian cash flow, making sure our offerings are financially accessible and beneficial. Finally, our ultimate goal is to increase veterinarian profitability, providing products and solutions that help veterinary clinics grow and thrive financially.
Now let's dive into the market information of the veterinary patient monitoring. Zomedica is positioned as a leader in the rapidly expanding veterinary monitoring market. According to Research and Markets Veterinary Patient Monitoring Equipment Market Report 2025, this segment is projected to reach $720 million by 2025, reflecting a robust compound annual growth rate of 8.2%. This growth is driven by multiple commercial forces transforming the landscape of veterinary care. One of the most significant drivers is the steady rise in pet ownership across the United States and globally. As more households welcome animals into their families, there is a growing expectation for medical care that mirrors the standards of human healthcare. This trend, often described as pet humanization, is raising the bar for monitoring, diagnostics, and preventive care technologies. At the same time, the industry faces a persistent shortage of veterinary professionals, placing enormous pressure on hospitals and clinics to find ways to deliver consistent, high-quality care with fewer staff resources. Advances in artificial intelligence and automation are emerging as vital solutions to this challenge. Veterinary organizations are increasingly adopting smart technologies to improve workflow efficiency, enhance patient safety, and reduce manual documentation. Meanwhile, the consolidation of corporate veterinary groups and growing emphasis on animal welfare standards continue to reshape purchasing behavior and investment priorities across the industry. Together, these factors have created an environment where Zomedica's innovations, particularly in the area of contactless monitoring, are positioned to thrive. Within this growing market, two core segments are driving demand for monitoring solutions: general practices and emergency and specialty centers. General practices make up more than 80% of all companion animal hospitals in the United States, according to AVMA market data, 2024. These practices serve a pet population drawn from 66% of American households, underscoring the scale of opportunity. However, over 60% of these clinics report difficulty hiring veterinarians or technicians, highlighting the widespread workforce shortage. This shortage has become one of the leading motivators for adopting automation and AI-based technologies that can extend staff capabilities and improve care efficiency. Industry data show that adoption of AI and automation is increasing by 35% year over year, reflecting growing trust in technology to streamline patient monitoring, data collection, and clinical documentation. In parallel, corporate veterinary groups now own more than 4,200 hospitals, up from 2,700 in 2019, according to VetSuccess, 2024. This consolidation trend is reshaping the purchasing power and technology standards of the veterinary industry, as large organizations increasingly seek scalable, data-driven monitoring systems that can operate consistently across multiple locations. Emergency and specialty centers represent another critical growth engine. These facilities handle between 2.5 and 3 million critical cases annually nationwide, according to the VETGuardian Annual Data Report, 2024. They provide continuous monitoring for high-acuity, post-surgical, and overnight patients, where the demand for reliable, real-time data is especially acute. The number of emergency veterinarians has doubled since 2010, yet staffing shortages continue to strain operations. Technologies like Zomedica's contactless monitoring systems help these centers maintain vigilance and improve outcomes without increasing staff burden, addressing one of the most pressing challenges in modern veterinary medicine. Zomedica is expanding the reach of its VETGuardian monitoring system into the $400 million plus U.S. companion animal market. With a foundation of 30,000 companion animal clinics nationwide, this market offers more than 90,000 potential units at an average of 3 monitoring devices per clinic. Multi-unit promotional packages are now available, giving practices cost-effective options for upgrading their standard of care. Each VETGuardian monitor is valued at an MSRP of $4,500, resulting in a hardware opportunity approaching $405 million. But that's just the initial phase. Annual cloud connectivity and warranty services offered for $595 per device, deliver an additional $53 million in recurring revenue potential after the first year. Zomedica is leading the next major evolution in veterinary monitoring, from contact-based systems to contact-less, AI-enabled solutions. Traditional contact monitoring systems rely on wired or wearable sensors to track an animal's vital signs during surgery or recovery. While this approach has been the standard for decades, it presents inherent limitations. Contact-based systems can restrict movement, cause stress to animals, and are prone to disconnections or inaccurate readings, particularly in anxious or fractious patients. This segment remains a large, established market, but its growth has been steady rather than transformative. In contrast, the emerging field of touchless monitoring represents the future of animal health technology. Using radar and AI computer vision, these systems detect subtle physiological signals such as respiration, heart rate, and temperature without requiring any physical contact. This enables completely zero-touch, stress-free monitoring for animals, while simultaneously improving safety for veterinary staff who no longer need to handle patients as frequently. Touchless monitoring also allows for continuous observation, generating uninterrupted data streams that support faster decision-making and more proactive care interventions. It is a fast-growing segment with minimal competition and enormous potential for expansion. In the current landscape, traditional players such as Midmark, Bionet, and Mindray continue to dominate the wired and anesthesia monitoring categories. Midmark is widely recognized for surgical and anesthesia monitors across North America. Bionet produces portable multi-parameter systems for small animal practices, and Mindray manufactures high-grade ICU monitors used globally. However, none of these established brands have yet introduced a truly contactless veterinary monitoring solution. This gap in the market provides a unique opportunity for Zomedica to lead the transformation of how patient monitoring is delivered in veterinary medicine. By combining proven clinical insight with cutting-edge AI and radar technology, Zomedica is not just responding to market demand, it is defining the future standard of care.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Ijaz, and I am the Senior Product Manager for the VETGuardian monitor at Zomedica. What brought me to Zomedica is the company's mission and its commitment to helping veterinary providers deliver better care. I am passionate about working with innovative and differentiated technologies that make a real impact. I believe that when we support veterinarians with the right tools, we empower them to do their most important work, caring for the animals that we love. The VETGuardian monitor is a perfect example of this commitment. It represents how Zomedica continues to advance veterinary medicine through innovation and compassion. The VETGuardian monitor is the first and only zero-touch vital signs monitoring system for companion animals and veterinary providers. It continuously tracks heart rate, respiration rate, and temperature without any physical contact, wires, probes, or attachment. Why is monitoring important? Monitoring is essential because sudden changes in vital signs often indicate that something is wrong. These changes may signal infection, hemorrhage, shock, a reaction to medication or treatment, or another unforeseen complication. They may also indicate that a patient is not recovering as expected, or that they are uncomfortable, too hot or too cold, painful or anxious. Having access to continuous real-time vital signs allows veterinary providers to detect these changes early and then take immediate action before a situation becomes critical. Traditional monitoring methods present several challenges. Manual vital sign collection requires frequent contact with the animal, which increases both stress for both the patient and the staff. This process can also be disruptive, since waking an animal during recovery interferes with rest and slows healing. Wired or wearable monitors restrict mobility, often become tangled, and may be chewed off by the patient. Handling anxious or fractious animals raises the risk of injury to veterinary staff through bites and scratches. Manual monitoring also consumes valuable time and energy that could otherwise be directed towards patient care. advanced devices that rely on leads, pads, or skin attachments can fall off. They can irritate the skin, or they require shaving or adhesive applications. Occasionally, they cause injury or ingestion. These systems are not truly fear-free and often create unnecessary stress in the clinical environment. This is where the VETGuardian monitor changes everything. The VETGuardian monitor was designed to eliminate these challenges entirely by offering a zero-touch, continuous monitoring solution that requires no physical contact with the patient. It combines advanced sensing technology, intelligent cloud connectivity, and an intuitive interface to give veterinary providers the ability to monitor their patients safely, efficiently, and continuously from anywhere and anytime. Now let's take a closer look at the VETGuardian system and see how it actually works. The VETGuardian monitor uses multi-sensor approach called sensor fusion technology, which combines several sensing modalities to deliver continuous touch-free monitoring. Doppler radar detects continuous pulse and respiration. Video and LiDAR sensors detect movement and position. Night and thermal vision provide an on-demand visualization and video storage for future review. To begin monitoring, the user simply positions the VETGuardian monitor towards the patient and presses start. The system immediately begins collecting and streaming vital signs data to the VETGuardian cloud, where it can be securely viewed and managed. Through cloud connectivity, users have 24/7 access via myzomedica.com on any smart device, including computers, laptops, tablets, and phones. This enables veterinary teams to monitor patients remotely and in real time, where they are in the clinic or off-site. The system supports custom alerts that notify staff immediately when a patient's condition requires immediate attention. These alerts allow for faster intervention and improves response times to critical events. In addition, all video and monitoring records are automatically stored in the VETGuardian cloud, giving clinics access to historical data for review, documentation, or case discussion. These features provide both critical insight and compliance support. The cloud platform is also future-proof, meaning that all users receive automatic system upgrades as new features and improvements are released. There is no need for manual updates or downtime. The system evolves automatically to stay at the cutting edge of veterinary technology. To support clinics beyond the device itself, myzomedica.com offers access to full ecosystem resources, including Zomedica University, continuing education courses, professional services, and technology support. They also provide engagement tools for both veterinarians and pet owners as well. These resources are designed to help clinics succeed with VETGuardian zero-touch monitoring. They can build confidence with staff and enhance communication with pet owners. It is important to note that the cloud connectivity is required to use the VETGuardian monitor, as it powers the continuous data streaming, notifications, and storage capacities that make the system so effective. The VETGuardian monitor is the only contactless and stress-free monitoring solution available to veterinary providers today. It delivers a range of critical clinical benefits. It reduces stress by minimizing interruptions during recovery, which benefits both patients and care providers. It enhances safety by reducing direct contact with fractious or infectious animals. It improves productivity by freeing up staff through cloud-based monitoring and automatic alerts. Clinicians can access continuous temperature, pulse, and respiration readings alongside a live video feed that includes both night and thermal vision. This ensures full visibility into each patient's condition, anytime, anywhere, with the peace of mind that the data is always secure and accessible. In addition to its clinical advantages, the VETGuardian monitor provides measurable operational and financial benefits for veterinary practices. It enables clinics to generate incremental revenue by offering advanced monitoring as a premium service. Its streamlined setup and operation saving time compared with wired or wearable systems, and eliminating the need to shave patients or apply adhesive pads. It helps practices increase efficiency by allowing multiple patients to be monitored at the same time through cloud access. The monitor also supports faster response times, helping clinicians identify problems before they escalate into emergencies. Overall, the VETGuardian monitor enhances patient outcomes, operational efficiency, and financial performance, making it a valuable investment for any veterinary practice. The VETGuardian monitor represents a breakthrough in veterinary medicine. It provides a zero-touch, real-time, and intelligent monitoring solution that improves safety, reduces stress, and enhances efficiency for both patients and staff. At Zomedica, we are proud to deliver technologies that empower veterinarians to provide the highest standard of care while building more efficient and resilient practices. Thank you for taking the time to learn about the VETGuardian monitor. I'm Scott Ajaz, Senior Product Manager at Zomedica. If you would like to learn more or see a live demonstration, please contact us or your Zomedica representative.
Now let's hear from the team behind the VETGuardian Plus monitor. What makes the VETGuardian monitor fundamentally different from traditional wired or wearable systems used in veterinary care?
Fundamentally, the main difference is that the VETGuardian is contactless and continuous. So they're all continuous, but the contactless is what makes it so much better than the other things. And that's because usually with animals, they have to you have to shave them and you have to put pads on them, or you have to connect alligator clips, which are painful and uncomfortable for them, or you're having to constantly go in and touch them, move them around. They've had surgery, they're recovering. And so that would be the main difference, is the contactless.
In what types of cases, ICU, isolation, post-surgical, or overnight, has the system shown the greatest impact?
I would say it would have to be post-surgical and overnight. And the reasonings are a little bit different. And post-surgical, it's because most small animal hospitals will have one surgery right after another, especially if they're a surgery-only center. But even if they're a normal general practitioner, there's usually a veterinarian in surgery, and they're just doing one surgery after another. And at this point in time, most animal hospitals are understaffed. And so by having the VETGuardian be able to continue to do TPRs while the veterinarian is back in surgery and has their staff potentially in there or doing other things, the animal is still being monitored. And also it can alert them if they're in surgery that something's going on with that patient. And as far as overnights, same kind of idea, especially in rural settings. A lot of veterinarians around the country live tens of miles away, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe 100 miles from the nearest ER. And so these are hospitals that are not necessarily built or intended to be overnight hospitals, but because of where they are, they're having to sometimes hospitalize overnight. And instead of just having a camera, you actually, from anywhere in the middle of the night, the veterinarian can get an alert that something's wrong with the animal. There's a camera getting continuous TPR, and so it really helps improve patient safety in that regard.
How does continuous contactless monitoring influence patient comfort, stress reduction, and recovery times compared with traditional monitoring?
Well, as far as the patient's stress level and comfort, like we talked about, number one, you're not having someone coming in and constantly bothering them, opening the cage, having to use the thermometer in their rectum, sometimes even have to move them or reposition them to get to use a stethoscope to get a respiration or a pulse or things like that, and you don't have to do that. So as far as not bothering the patient. Also, again, because it's contactless, you're not having those metal alligator clips on the patient. You're not having a blood pressure cuff necessarily on the patient. It's just much easier for the patient. It's less stressful. They can just rest and recover like they need to. And as far as recovery times, it's been shown that when they're less stressed, they recover faster. So they tend to have shorter hospitalization times because they're allowed to just go ahead and recover instead of constantly being manipulated in order to get a TPR.
What challenges do clinics face with overnight patient monitoring, and how does the VETGuardian system help address those challenges?
Well, with overnights, a lot of times, like for instance, when I was an intern, I was frequently the overnight veterinarian. And basically, a lot of these places that are ERs that are overnights, there's one veterinarian, maybe two, usually one receptionist and like one or two technicians. Very, very, very low staffed. And they are running around going from room to room, and sometimes the patients that have been left in ICU that are being monitored overnight, there's not someone to be able to go back and check every 10 or 15 minutes like they need to. And the VETGuardian helps, again, provide that level of patient safety as well as a comfort level for the veterinarians and staff knowing that their patient is still being monitored if they have a hit by car come in or something else come in that takes them away from that every 10 to 15 minute monitoring overnight of their patients. And then, as I addressed before, a lot of these rural hospitals where they don't have anyone overnight. The pet is literally left alone all night. And so again, it gives the veterinarian peace of mind and comfort knowing that their patient is still being monitored, even though they have left for the evening.
When you demo the VETGuardian monitor, what specific features, like live video or zero-touch vitals, tend to capture a clinic's attention first?
That's a great question. So you're right with the beginning part of the question. It is the fact that it's zero touch. You have Doppler radar, you have LiDAR, which is laser, and you have thermography, which do temperature, heart rate, and respiration. And when you tell a clinic that, it really catches them off guard that there's no wires going through the cage onto the animal. The fact that it has real-time alerts, right, that you can actually be elsewhere while you're monitoring this device, remotely on smart devices. If there's an issue, an alert or an alarm goes off, and you can go check on the animal. And the fact that it records everything. It records, high def video, it records audio, it records data points. It has everything that you can put into the PIMS or just have if you need to go back and look at a recording or anything that happens while you're not watching. You can take all of those data points, the video feed and the audio, and marry them together to determine what the issue was.
What feedback do you hear from clinics about how the monitor simplifies workflow and saves staff time?
Well, I mean, the obvious is that it eliminates manual checks, right? If they're doing vitals every hour, every 2 hours with this device, because it's 24/7 monitoring on remote devices, you can move those to 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever the clinic determines it should be. One of the other key things is that it reduces the stress on the animal itself. Manual checks can actually cause issues, and the clinics like the fact that when an animal's waking up or is a fractious animal, that you're not disturbing them, and in some instances putting your staff at danger for being bitten. The remote monitoring is huge, right? You could be at lunch in a meeting somewhere monitoring the animal on your smart device. And so it just opens up a lot as far as efficiency for the clinic.
Which departments or case types typically see the fastest return on investment once they start using the system?
In my experience, it's been the ERs are a prime location for the monitoring device. Surgical centers that do obviously a lot of surgeries, GPs that do surgeries, because post-operatively it's fantastic when you don't have to initiate a manual read on an animal that's waking up. Those are probably the two best that I've seen in my experience. And then as far as the financial side is, there's a revenue stream, and depending on, where you are geographically, you can charge, $20 to $50 post-op, and sometimes up to $150 depending on your location.
How does the VETGuardian monitor create measurable operational and financial efficiencies for veterinary practices?
Another good question. So, I mean, I think operationally, the fact that it reduces work on the staff, right? It takes away all those moves back and forth to the kennels, wherever they are. They may be in another part of the clinic. So it's going to reduce the workload and open up time for the techs to do other things that they could be doing, improve patient care, right? And in some instances, patient safety. You're going to be able to monitor and hear if they're in distress or something goes off that you need to check on. The fact that you can do that remotely is the biggest part. You don't have to be right there where the animal is. And again, I said earlier, reduces a lot of stress on the animals, right? So operationally, those are probably the key things. Financially, revenue, right? There's a revenue stream to this. Again, as I said, depending on where your locale is and what your clientele is like, you charge accordingly. It's scalable, right? You can pretty much monitor multiple animals simultaneously. So if you have multiple devices, you can see up to 24 on one screen. So you can monitor multiple. In some instances, in some litigious areas, it reduces liability because you have 24/7 monitoring with data, video, and sound. And then if you market this correctly, it can, give you a competitive advantage over some of the other facilities in the area.
Why are clinics adopting the VETGuardian monitor now, and what specific pain points does it solve for veterinary teams?
Clinics are adopting the VETGuardian monitor because it helps reduce biosecurity risk and improves patient safety, especially when you're dealing with sick or fractious animals. The traditional monitoring often requires close physical contact, which increases the chances of getting bit or scratched, or even cross-contamination in some instances. The VETGuardian monitor comes in and helps mitigate the risk because it allows staff to observe patients from a safe distance.
What broader trends in veterinary medicine, such as telemonitoring, connected devices, and data-driven care, make this the right time for the technology?
There's a clear shift in the veterinary field. Pet ownership is rising rapidly, while veterinary providers are busier than ever before. As a result, practices are being asked to do more with fewer people and less time. That's why automation, remote monitoring, and other AI-driven tools like the VETGuardian monitor fit perfectly into their new reality because it helps them stay more efficient without sacrificing quality of care.
How does the system help practices improve efficiency, reduce manual monitoring, and enhance patient throughput?
Because the VETGuardian monitor runs continuously, staff can detect problems between manual vital signs checks sooner. It eliminates repetitive note taking because vital signs are automatically recorded and compiled into a report, creating a clear historic record with zero extra work.
What makes VETGuardian a strong example of Zomedica's commitment to intelligent, connected solutions for modern veterinary care?
The VETGuardian monitor is truly one of a kind. It's the first and only solution that can collect vital signs with no touch whatsoever. I think it embodies Zomedica's mission to bring advanced, practical innovation to veterinary teams around the country.
How does the contactless vital signs technology, combining radar and AI computer vision, work together to create real-time monitoring?
The VETGuardian device takes a multimodal approach to monitor patient vitals. It combines signal inputs from continuous wave radar, LiDAR, infrared thermography, and AI computer vision models to produce its continuous, real-time, contactless vital signs data. AI computer object detection models are used to detect and track patient presence, and AI key point detection models are fused with infrared thermography data to capture the patient's temperature from anatomical regions that closely correlate with core body temp. The key technology application is truly the combination or fusion of the computer vision and sensor data to provide a robust means for contactless patient monitoring.
What advantages does the AI-driven approach provide compared to traditional wired or wearable monitors?
While I believe the question is intended for me to discuss patient clinical benefits, I'm going to take a slightly different take on it. VETGuardian's key differentiation over wired and wearable monitors really lies within the ability to fuse the video data with the traditional vital signs data. The combination of traditional video, infrared thermography video, and respiration and heart rate derived from continuous wave radar provides a powerful data foundation from which to apply recent advances in AI computer vision and machine learning technology. We recognize VETGuardian will never replace the need nor the information that is obtained from a caregiver or veterinary staff member directly observing the patient. However, VETGuardian does have a foundation from which to build a robust set of AI tools to help continually assess patient health when the caregiver is not there. One of the most basic clinical observations is the evaluation of a patient's breathing. While respiration rate is useful, Respiration alone may not always tell the entire story. How much more data is obtained when a caregiver can view the patient's labored breathing? These visual observations tell the caregiver a lot more about the patient's state of health and their level of comfort. With VETGuardian's fusion of sensor data, we are creating a foundation for artificial intelligence capabilities to provide the same level of patient health insights.
How does the VETGuardian system use AI to ensure continuous, accurate readings, even when the patient moves or changes position?
I kind of alluded to this in one of the previous questions. AI plays a critical role in presence detection, patient tracking, and key point identification. This is going to sound a little basic, but we all can agree animals behave different than humans. Animals and humans react and express pain differently. Human patients can be told to lay in a bed when recovering from injury or dealing with pain. This is obviously different with animal patients. In some cases, they may actually lay in the bed. In other cases, the discomfort may be displayed through other behaviors that often involve movement. VETGuardian's AI assists in tracking the patient and detecting the critical key points for vital signs monitoring, allowing the patient to express its natural behaviors.
How does the VETGuardian monitor enhance both patient and staff safety within the clinic environment?
In the product description, we use the term continuous. That one word sums up well how VETGuardian enhances patient and staff safety. By providing continuous monitoring, patients benefit from staff's access to continuous video and vital signs data. Staff benefit the same through the ease of remote access to the patient from the VETGuardian app. And with intelligent alert capabilities, staff can get notified of patient health conditions while they're away from the patient or even away from the clinic. In short, patients and staff benefit from the continuous monitoring.
How does the VETGuardian monitor capture heart rate, respiratory rate, and temperature without touching the animal? And how accurate is it in real-world clinical use?
The VETGuardian device uses Doppler radar to detect subtle body movements that are associated with heartbeats and respiration. So radio waves are transmitted from the device and they reflect off the animal's body. So a small motion from breathing and cardiac activity can cause minute frequency shifts in that return signal. So by isolating signal components within the expected frequency range for respiration and heart rate, the device provides real-time measurements of both of these parameters. Doppler radar measurements of heart rate and respiration can be influenced by animal movement. However, when the animal is relatively calm, as they typically are in the case of illness and recovery when monitoring is usually occurring, these readings remain highly accurate. So for temperature reading, the VETGuardian device uses a thermal camera. Although touchless temperature measurements can have limitations, several design features of the VETGuardian device enhance accuracy. So first, AI-based image analysis from the RGB camera identifies the animal's eye region, which closely correlates with core body temperature, providing the most accurate, reliable site for temperature readings. Second, the VETGuardian software includes a calibration function for the thermal camera. So while the thermal camera accurately tracks temperature changes over time, obtaining an accurate absolute temperature requires calibration to account for differences in environmental conditions. So a quick calibration at the start of each monitoring session ensures both precise temperature readings and consistent tracking throughout the run.
What makes the integration of live video, temperature mapping, and vital signs such a powerful tool for clinicians during patient recovery?
Integrating live video, temperature, heart rate, and respiration rate into a single device gives clinicians a comprehensive, real-time view of a patient's physiological status and behavior. So posture, movement, and responsiveness are key indicators of an animal's condition. The device includes both a standard RGB camera and an infrared camera for low light or nighttime monitoring, allowing continuous observations of positioning and activity. Additionally, clinicians can remotely trigger an audible cue from the device to assess the animal's responsiveness. So by combining live video with synchronized vital sign monitoring, clinicians can quickly identify signs of distress or recovery and make informed treatment decisions, all without disturbing the patient.
How are clinics using data from the VETGuardian system to support better decision-making and documentation?
So clinics use data from the VETGuardian system to enhance both clinical decision-making and medical record accuracy. So continuous touchless monitoring of heart rate, respiration, and temperature provides an objective record of each patient's recovery and response to treatment. This data allows clinicians to identify subtle physiological trends, such as changes in respiration patterns or rising temperature, before they become clinically apparent, enabling earlier intervention and improved patient outcomes. All monitored parameters are automatically recorded and timestamped in a report, creating a comprehensive history that supports case documentation and communication among the care team. So by combining continuous data with live video observations, clinics gain data-driven understanding of each patient's condition throughout hospitalization or recovery.
Thanks for watching today's webinar and learning more about the VETGuardian Plus monitor.
A zero-touch vital signs remote monitor that continuously detects temperature, pulse, and respiration, so patients can be monitored safely and efficiently. We're now moving into the live Q&A with the VETGuardian team. If you have a question, drop it in the chat box now. We're here to help. If anything comes up later or you'd like to speak with someone directly, you can reach us at the phone number or email address shown on your screen. Let's jump in.
All right. Well, once again, thanks everyone for joining us. I see that we have a number of questions. Let's take those one by one. The first one is, next fourth Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. What's the plan? So to not interfere with people's holiday events, our next fourth Friday at 4 webinar will actually be held on the third Friday of November at 4. That'll be November 21st at 4 o'clock. The topic of that will be the sum of the parts. Over the last 6 months, we've reviewed in some level of detail the 6 product platforms that we have on the market. And during our next fourth Friday, on the third Friday of November, we'll show how they come together in concert to provide a platform for continued growth, a pathway to profitability, and an opportunity for shareholder value appreciation as we move forward. We will also take the opportunity on that call to discuss the results of the third quarter of 2025, which we will be releasing via our 10Q and press release on November 4th. We'll be able to go into detail at that point. Okay, second one. When are you launching the TrueView AI microscope? And the answer to that is soon. We're actually in the final stages of testing, field testing the device on an end-to-end basis. And basically what that means is we have a number of devices that are fully equipped and operating, deployed to a small group of clinics that have had experience with the TrueView microscope for many months now. We've used those clinics to acquire the images to help train the AI to make sure that it's perfect. And right now we have a certain number of images that we want to have them process from end to end. That is, from the time the blood goes on the slide until they get the AI report in their hands. We experienced a wee bit of delay as we made some adjustments recently. We had hoped, frankly, to have this out a little bit ago, but at this point, I could tell you that we expect for this to be done shortly to be able to launch it in mid-November. And they're looking forward to it. I will say that. Next question. Anything else on the horizon? It's a good question. And the answer is yes. So we have a number of new assays for our TrueForma immunochemistry platform, which will be launching between now and the end of the year. An equine progesterone, an equine SAA. We found a very significant uptake in the equine market, and so since we have a lot of equine practitioners that are getting the TrueForma platform, we want to make sure and get them a couple of additional assays as they have proven to be really good, strong customers. So that's on the TrueForma side. The product that we just covered here, I hope Scott doesn't give me any grief here, but we the VETGuardian that we just talked about actually pretty soon is going to become the VETGuardian Plus with major upgrade to both the hardware and the software. We expect to be launching that in mid to late November. We have a program in place so that all customers will be able to have a very easy to follow upgrade path so that all will have the benefit of the new technology once we get that fully, again, fully vetted and tested and put in the field. Mid-November for the US, and then about a month later for CE mark and the international market. Next question. Is there a possibility of Zomedica performing stock buybacks in the future? So the answer to that is, the future is a very long time, right? At the current time, we have no plans to execute a buyback, a share repurchase plan. And the reason for that is that while it would potentially benefit some customers in the short term, because a buyback generally does have a short-term impact on share price, that share price proves not to be durable, that increase, if that's the reason for it. 6 months later, it's hard to tell that anything occurred. What does have a lasting, we believe, what will have a lasting impact on share price is for us getting to cash flow profitability, cash flow break even, and P&L profitability. Now, the other reason, frankly, is when it comes to cash, we believe we have sufficient cash. We reported at the end of the second quarter, $59 million in capital. Knowing what we know about our rising revenues, about our strong gross margins, our reducing OpEx, our nominal CapEx at this point, our cash burn, knowing what we know, we believe we have sufficient capital to move beyond cash flow break even and profitability. On the other hand, that's the most important near-term milestone for Zomedica. And so it wouldn't really be prudent for us to expend capital until we get to cash flow break even. Once we're building our cash portfolio on a monthly, quarterly basis, which we have a clear line of sight to, at that point, potentially we would reconsider, and it would come down to whether we believe that would be the best use of the capital at that time. Long-winded answer to say that we hear the shareholders, and I think when we're being asked about a share buyback, we're really being asked, is there anything you can do to increase the share price? And for that, I think the answer is that we continue to perform as a company and get to certain milestones and be able to, we get to cash flow break even and profitability. Then there is a group of investors out there that will only buy shares in companies that are already cash flow break even. And so that would open up a new potential pool of investors that could take a look and say, rising revenues, strong margins, and cash flow positive and profitable. And we believe that once people see what we're doing here, they see not only each of the parts, but the sum of them, that would give us an opportunity to see a share price appreciation. Let's see. Has the international market shown promising sales so far? Yeah, it has. So we sell PulseVet in about 50 countries around the world. We have about 20%. Actually, I'd have to look. I think it's about the same, about constant. About 20% of our revenue comes from international markets. Up until recently, essentially all of that was coming from our PulseVet and Assisi international sales, which have grown significantly. You may recall that about a year and a half ago, and maybe a little longer, we entered into a master agreement with a company called Grovet to cover the EU for equine sales. They've done very nicely with that. Our equine sales have increased internationally. We recently expanded our relationship with them. They're now selling TRUFORMA for equine applications. And again, we have a couple more equine assays coming, so that'll expand that even further. And very recently, they also agreed to handle logistics for our TRUFORMA sales to small animal practices in the EU. So that's very significant. We also recently signed on a small animal distributor in the UK called Pioneer, a very respected organization there. And they have the PulseVet device. They're bringing that on, I think, in the coming months, but they have definitely the TrueForma device. And the other thing about Pioneer is that they're already committed as well to bringing on the VETGuardian, frankly, because we knew that we have a VETGuardian Plus coming shortly. We have not yet initiated that in the UK or in Canada. Both of those distributors are queued up, teed up, ready to go. But we figured we do have an upgrade path for all of our US customers, but why create a need for an update path in international? So we deferred the revenue a little bit. That's a decision I think is best for the customer and the distributor, or I should say our distributor customer and their client clinics. As far as scaling across the board, as you may know, last year we got CE mark for essentially all of our products. So recently we've expanded our distribution agreement in Canada to introduce PulseVet through those channels. TrueForma will follow. VETGuardian will follow. TrueView, once we get it launched here in the US, will follow as well. We have a distributor that we put on board for Puerto Rico, certain of our products, same thing for Costa Rica. We've expanded the geography for our South American distributor that currently supplies Uruguay, Paraguay, and Brazil, to expand a little bit further across South America. Our Japanese subsidiary is showing a nice increased sales. And so it's our goal to get all of our products, small animal and equine, in essentially every country where it makes sense. And when I say that, it's countries that have a nice or a significant market for medicalized pets. Every country has animals. Every country has, I think the human bond between people and their animals, what we think of as pets and pet parents. But in some countries, these pets are not medicalized. In other words, if something happens with the pet, they don't spend money to try and address that issue. So where there are medicalized pets, we would like to see our products sold there, really all around the world. Let's see. Could you provide some insight into why Zomedica has not yet launched the AI technology? Yeah. So I addressed that with the TrueView shortly. I know you've heard that before, and it's disappointing, but it is on tap. And we know it's working because we're seeing it work now. It's just a matter of getting a substantial number of tests. For example, when it comes to the hardware for the TrueView, we ran it through torture test, 5,000 slides in a row, spread across 5 machines, and just day in and day out, nothing but slides all day long. 8 hours a day until it got done. We're not doing 5,000 of the AI reports, but we're doing a substantial number. Before VETGuardian is installed, does the vet clinic have to prep the area where it's installed with any type of special shielding to prevent any signal interference or distortion? And do the vet clinics from the same person, do the vet clinics provide an option via link to the pet parent to monitor their pet remotely if they request, or is monitoring for the vet clinic staff only? All right, let me share the wealth here. Scott, you want to take that one? Do they have to prep the area and put in special shielding?
No, you do not have to put in special shielding to use the VETGuardian monitor. You should be aware of the environment, but it does not require anything extra beyond that. When it comes to sharing the information with the pet owner, it's completely in the hands of the veterinary clinic. Typically, the veterinary clinics, the staff there are the ones that are using our product. They're the one monitoring animals. It's primarily designed for them.
Oh, thanks for that. I just say that, there is a little bit of common sense, right? So I remember at one point there was interference reported, and when we looked at the monitoring session, of course, there's a video camera there, and it was, so you're seeing wacky numbers. Yeah, okay, well, maybe the person in between the camera and the animal might be accounting for some of those wacky numbers, right? So just a little bit of, it's possible to interfere with it if you try, but otherwise we're good. And that remote thing, I'll tell you, it's really a veterinarian preference there. You heard during this talk earlier, you heard from Mark Murat. He's a capital equipment specialist. He's also our number one VETGuardian salesperson. He was a number one VETGuardian salesperson before he became a capital equipment specialist. So that's a big reason why he became one. He was promoted into that position. I attended a regional meeting with the salespeople from the region. He's down in the South Georgia, Florida area. I attended a regional meeting with him, and one of the topics, this was when we first launched the VETGuardian, and different salespeople, they're learning the product. They're not sure about how it works exactly. They're not necessarily, they're just starting out. This was now 2 years ago or so, 2.5, whenever it was. And Mark, he's a big animal lover, and he lives in South Georgia. He has kind of, I call it a farm. I don't think they farm anything, but they have a bunch of critters and several dogs. And so I'm at that meeting, and I'd been there. I met his wife, and I, had the dog chase me a little bit. And so I'm at this meeting, and I'm sitting next to Mark, and I'm noticing that he's pulling his computer up and opening it up during a meeting, which, you're supposed to be paying attention to whoever's speaking. So I look over at the screen, and what do I see but a VETGuardian image monitoring session. And I asked him, what's the deal? And he said, well, you remember my dog? And I'm like, yeah. He said, well, the dog got into it with a coyote or some kind of a wild animal and got chewed up pretty good. And so I had to take it to the vet, Laurel Oaks, which I happen to know because I'd been there and visited that account with Mark one time when I was riding with him. And so they, of course, Laurel Oaks has a VETGuardian. They actually have 3 of them. And they had his pet, his dog, being monitored because it had really been torn up, needed a lot of stitches, and it was in bad shape. And so he was looking at that. He was the pet parent, and he was looking at that to see his dog and make sure his dog was still good. And so he kept that open. And in fact, I had him turn it around and show the rest of the people at the regional meeting. We went to dinner that night. He pulled out his iPhone, and he was watching to make sure everything was still fine with his dog. And the next day, same thing. And I'll tell you, that really made a difference. That region really became the number one region for selling VETGuardian. And it wasn't, every other region in the country had the same product to sell, and they got the same training. But when you really see and you feel the difference that it can make to the pet parent, you can understand why clinics are happy charging, additional money, $50 for a continuous session. And I think maybe someday they may give access, depends. They may give access to pet parents, because I think it really does make a difference. We have a question: do I plan on buying more shares in the open market for your grandkids? So the answer to that is yes, when I'm able to. So as you might know, certain of us here, any of us at Zomedica that are in possession of material, non-public information that would be meaningful to a shareholder or a potential investor, we are not able to purchase shares. And so we have windows. The windows they close 2 weeks before the end of a quarter. So for example, mid-September, that window closed, and it won't open until 48 hours or the second day after we release earnings. So that would be around November 5th or 6th. I'd have to look at the exact date, no exact wording. So that's typically when the window's open. The other thing is, though, even if the window is open, if I know something that y'all don't, and I know it's really good news, And as potential shareholder or existing shareholder, you'd be really happy to hear it. It might even encourage you to go out and buy some more shares, because it would, for example, get us to profitability sooner, or what have you. Then it's not fair for me to go out and buy shares. And so I haven't been able to buy them for a bit. You can read into that whatever you like. But once we do the next release, at that point, then you could sort of see what is happening, and you'll know why I couldn't buy shares before. Let me leave it at that. But yeah, I think it's a very good investment. So I'll leave it at that. Let's see. Can you comment on the results of the third quarter? So I will tell you the third quarter went well. It went as we expected. It went very well. We're really looking forward to the release of our results. We expect that you'll be pleased with our revenue, our margins, our OpEx, our cash burn, and you may be delighted to hear of a new way in which we're increasing operating leverage through the utilization of our existing infrastructure. And beyond that, I really should not comment any more than that. We'll wait for the release to come out, and then then the whole world will hear it at the same time. I don't want to make more of it than I should, but as I said, we're looking forward to releasing the results. And by the way, I do have one more son who I think is getting engaged pretty soon. And my expectation is that more grandchildren could follow, knock on wood. So with that, I don't see any additional questions open. So I would just stop by thanking you again for your interest, your support of Zomedica, your attention today, your questions, which are always welcomed. Feel free to reach out anytime. If it's a historical information, we'd be happy to share it with you directly. If it's future looking, then we'll probably defer to one of these calls. The next one of which will be on the third Friday of November, just ahead of Thanksgiving, at which time we'll talk about the holistic Zomedica and how we plan to move forward. With that, I will just say thanks very much for your time and attention, and have a great weekend.